3 jobs, 12 hours a day, every penny going to one place. His mother's cancer treatment. Lucas didn't have time for auditions, didn't have money for headshots, didn't have connections in Hollywood, but he had a dream and a worn-out script he practiced every night on the bus ride home. Most people would have given up, chosen survival over ambition, but Lucas couldn't, because acting wasn't just a dream. It was the only thing that made him feel alive. Until one night, someone heard him rehearsing at a bus stop, someone who understood exactly what it meant to chase a dream when the world tells you it's impossible. Leonardo DiCaprio didn't just give Lucas advice, he gave him a chance. And in Hollywood, sometimes that's all it takes. Welcome to celebrity. Before we continue this powerful story of sacrifice, talent, and the moment a Hollywood legend stopped to see what everyone else walked past, tell me in the comments, from which city are you watching this video today? And if you believe that talent deserves a chance regardless of circumstance, hit that subscribe button and help us share stories that prove dreams don't require privilege, just perseverance. Lucas Martinez was 19 years old and hadn't slept more than 4 hours a night in 8 months. His day started at 5 a.m. at a diner in downtown Los Angeles, where he prepped vegetables and washed dishes until noon. Then he took 2 buses across the city to a grocery store where he worked the register until 8 p.m. And 3 nights a week, he cleaned office buildings from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. The math was simple and brutal. His mother's chemotherapy cost $8,000 a month. Insurance covered half. The rest fell on Lucas, and there was no one else. No father, no siblings, no family with money to spare. Just a 19-year-old kid trying to keep his mother alive while keeping himself from completely falling apart. But Lucas had one thing that kept him going, one thing that made the exhaustion bearable, one thing that reminded him he was more than just a collection of part-time jobs and medical bills. Acting. He'd loved it since he was a kid. School plays, community theater, anywhere someone would let him perform. His mother used to say he was born for the stage, that he had a gift, that one day people would know his name. But that was before the diagnosis, before the bills, before survival became the only thing that mattered. Now, acting was something Lucas did in stolen moments. On bus rides, during his 15-minute breaks, late at night when his body was too tired to sleep but his mind wouldn't stop running lines. He'd found a free acting workshop at a community center, once a week if he could make it. The teacher, an older woman named Rita who'd done theater in New York decades ago, told him he was special, that he had something raw and real that couldn't be taught. But raw and real didn't pay medical bills, and special didn't get you into auditions when you couldn't afford the time off work to attend them. Lucas had applied to dozens of casting calls, small roles, background work, anything, but every audition required him to miss a shift, and missing a shift meant missing a payment, and missing a payment meant his mother didn't get her treatment. So Lucas stopped applying, stopped hoping, and started accepting that some dreams were luxuries he couldn't afford. Until one night, everything changed. It was 10:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Lucas had just finished his grocery store shift and was waiting for the bus that would take him to his overnight cleaning job. He was exhausted, his feet hurt, his back ached, and he had another 4 hours of work ahead of him before he could go home, check on his mother, and maybe sleep for 3 hours before starting all over again. But he had 20 minutes until the bus came, and in his backpack was a script he'd printed at the library, a scene from a movie he'd watched 100 times, one he knew by heart. So Lucas sat on the bench, pulled out the script, and started rehearsing, quietly at first, just mouthing the words. But then, as he always did when he got lost in a character, he forgot where he was, forgot about the exhaustion, forgot about everything except the scene. He didn't notice the car that had pulled over across the street, didn't see the man who got out and stood watching, didn't realize anyone was paying attention until a voice broke through his concentration. That's a tough scene. Lucas looked up, startled. A man was standing a few feet away. Casual clothes, baseball cap pulled low. But even in the dim streetlight, Lucas recognized him immediately. Leonardo DiCaprio. Lucas's script fell from his hands. He tried to speak but couldn't form words. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. Sorry, Leo said with a slight smile. Didn't mean to interrupt. I heard you from across the street. You're really good. Lucas finally found his voice. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I was just practicing, Leo finished. I could tell. He gestured to the bench. Mind if I sit? Lucas nodded, still unable to process what was happening. Leonardo DiCaprio sat down beside him on a bus stop bench at nearly 11 p.m. and picked up the fallen script. Good choice, Leo said, looking at the pages. This is a tough monologue. Lots of actors mess it up. You didn't. Thank you, Lucas managed. What's your name? Lucas! Lucas, Leo repeated. You an actor? Lucas let out a bitter laugh. I want to be, but no, not really. Why not? Because I can't afford to be. Leo looked at him, really looked at him, saw the restaurant uniform under Lucas's jacket, saw the exhaustion in his eyes, saw the backpack that had seen better days. Tell me your story, Leo said. And so Lucas did, not because he thought it would change anything, not because he expected sympathy or help, but because someone asked. Someone cared enough to sit down and listen. He told Leo about his mother, about the cancer, about the 3 jobs, about the auditions he couldn't attend and the dream he'd had to put on hold, about how acting was the only thing that made him feel like himself and how guilty he felt for wanting it when his mother needed him to focus on survival. Leo didn't interrupt, didn't offer platitudes. He just listened with the kind of attention that made Lucas feel, for the first time in months, like his story mattered. When Lucas finished, Leo was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I know what this feels like. Lucas looked at him, confused. Not exactly the same, Leo continued, but I grew up in a rough neighborhood. My mom raised me alone. We didn't have money. I started acting partly because I loved it, but also because I needed to help. I know what it's like to want something so badly, but feel like you can't have it because other things matter more. Lucas felt his throat tighten. He'd seen Leonardo DiCaprio in dozens of movies, had studied his performances, had never once imagined they'd have anything in common. The thing is, Leo said, you shouldn't have to choose. Talent like yours, it shouldn't depend on privilege, but I know it does. I know the system is broken. He stood up, pulled out his phone, and typed something. Then he handed Lucas a business card. This is my manager's number. I'm going to call him tonight. Tomorrow he's going to reach out to you, and we're going to figure something out. Lucas stared at the card, his hand shaking. I don't understand. Leo looked him in the eye. You're talented, Lucas. Really talented, and you deserve a shot. I can't fix everything, but I can open a door. What you do after that is up to you. Lucas didn't sleep that night. He kept the business card in his pocket through his entire cleaning shift, touching it every few minutes to make sure it was real. At 7 a.m., his phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Lucas Martinez? Yes, this is David Chen, Leonardo DiCaprio's manager. Leo called me last night. He told me about you, about your situation, and about your talent. Lucas's heart was pounding so hard he could barely hear. Here's what we're going to do, David continued. First, we're setting up a fund to cover your mother's medical expenses. Not a loan, a fund. You won't have to worry about payments anymore. Lucas couldn't speak. Tears were streaming down his face. Second, David said we're enrolling you in an intensive acting program. Full scholarship. It's a 6-month course that meets in the evening, so you can still work during the day if you want to. But honestly, with your mom's expenses covered, you might want to cut back. I don't know what to say, Lucas whispered. Say yes. And then say thank you to Leo when you see him, because this was all his idea. When I see him? He wants to meet with you next week. There's a small role in his next film. It's not big, but it's a real part. With lines, with screen time. And if you're good, which he thinks you will be, it could lead to more. Lucas sank onto his bed, unable to process what he was hearing. This morning he'd been a kid working 3 jobs with a dream he'd almost given up on. Now someone was telling him his life was about to change. Why? Lucas asked. Why is he doing this? David was quiet for a moment, because Leo remembers what it's like, and because he believes talent shouldn't be wasted just because someone can't afford the entry fee. Lucas stood on a film set for the first time in his life, wearing a costume, holding a script with his name on it, about to shoot a scene in a Leonardo DiCaprio movie. His mother was in remission. The treatments had worked. She was weak, still recovering, but alive. And for the first time in a year, Lucas had watched her smile without pain behind it. He'd quit 2 of his 3 jobs, kept the diner gig because he liked the people, and it gave him something to do in the mornings. But now he had time. Time to study, time to practice, time to actually be an actor instead of just dreaming about it. The acting program had been intense. 12 weeks of classes, scene work, and coaching from people who'd worked in the industry for decades. Lucas had absorbed everything like he was making up for lost time, because he was. And now he was here, on set, about to work with one of the greatest actors of his generation. You ready? Leo appeared beside him, already in character for the next scene. Nervous, Lucas admitted. Good, Leo said. That means you care. Just remember what I told you. Be present, listen, react honestly. You've got this. When they called action, Lucas forgot about the cameras, forgot about the crew watching, forgot about everything except the scene. And when they called cut, the director smiled. That was great, Lucas. Let's do one more for coverage. They shot the scene 3 more times. Each one felt better than the last. And when they finally moved on, Leo pulled Lucas aside. You were great, he said. Really? I wasn't sure if you'd freeze up with all the pressure, but you didn't. You were right there. I just did what you said, stayed present. Leo nodded. That's all acting is. Being truthful in imaginary circumstances. You've got a gift for that. Don't waste it. Lucas looked at him, this person who changed his entire life with one conversation at a bus stop. I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me, Leo said. Thank yourself. I didn't give you talent, I just gave you an opportunity to use it. What you do from here is all you, but Lucas knew that wasn't entirely true. Talent without opportunity was just potential, and potential without a chance was just another dream that died quietly. Leo had given him more than an opportunity. He'd given him hope. Proof that the world wasn't entirely a meritocracy, but that sometimes, if you were lucky, someone who'd made it would reach back and pull you up. Lucas's role in the film was small, 3 scenes, maybe 5 minutes of total screen time, but it was enough. Critics noticed him, called him a promising newcomer with natural charisma. Casting directors started reaching out. Small parts became bigger parts, and slowly, steadily, Lucas built a career. He never forgot where he came from, never forgot the bus stop, never forgot the night someone stopped to listen when everyone else walked past. And when he finally started making real money, he did something that surprised no one who knew his story. He started a scholarship fund for young actors from low-income families, kids who had talent but not privilege, kids who worked 3 jobs and practiced their lines on bus rides home, because Lucas knew something most people in Hollywood didn't. That talent is everywhere, but opportunity isn't. And sometimes all it takes is one person to stop, to listen, to see what everyone else ignores. Leonardo DiCaprio had done that for him, and now Lucas was doing it for others, because that's what second chances are for, not just to change your own life, but to change someone else's. So now I ask you, have you ever had to choose between your dream and your responsibilities? Or have you been the person who gave someone a chance when no one else would? Share your story in the comments. Tell us about the moment someone saw your potential, or about the time you recognized someone else's. Because here at Celebrity Stories, we believe that talent shouldn't depend on privilege, that dreams don't require wealth, they just require someone willing to see them. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, subscribe, share, and help us make sure that kids like Lucas never have to choose between saving their family and chasing their dreams. We'll see you in the next story, and until then, if you see someone practicing their craft in unlikely places, stop, listen, you might just change their life.